While rare, sudden cardiac arrest is still the leading cause of death in young athletes. And there's only so much the standard pre-participation physical can detect.
He was the youngest and the biggest.
At 6'5" and more than 290 pounds, 15-year-old Elijah Rivera was growing into his own strength.
He literally ripped the handle off the microwave, just opening the microwave.
Elijah was learning to channel that power as a Windsor high school football player. But at practice on October 10th, 2023, he collapsed.
And I got there, it was within minutes. I was there within 2-3 minutes. Everything just happened so just fast. It was just kind of difficult to remember all that.
Elijah died at the hospital. His family would later learn there was something else large about him that turned out to be fatal.
He had an enlarged heart.
Elijah had passed his required pre-participation sports physical the previous summer.
When we talk about the sports physicals, it's more like a checkoff sheet right now. And I feel like there needs to be more.
The sports physical required for Connecticut student athletes includes a questionnaire about family history and an examination by a physician.
It basically checks pulses, checks breathing, and then you listen to the heart and listen for any murmurs or arrhythmias, things like that.
Dr. Allison Crapo was not Elijah's doctor. She is an orthopedic surgeon who specializes in pediatric sports medicine. She says if there is a risk factor identified in the exam, the next step would be an EKG or an electrocardiogram, which is an ultrasound of the heart.
Right now, it's not required in Connecticut because, again, it just hasn't panned out that every single student needs to have that done unless there's a concern.
Representative Nicole Claridis-Ditria says the idea of requiring additional heart testing for student athletes has been researched by the Connecticut legislature several times, but it hasn't led to legislation because of the cost.
It's the insurance issue. Insurance doesn't cover that as a pre-participation physical.
It shouldn't be an insurance company or somebody saying, it's just not, we're not going to pay for that because there's no need for it.
Did the doctor ever even bring up the idea of an EKG or a cardiogram or anything, any additional tests?
No, nothing.
For Rivera, that additional test could have saved his son's life.
I feel like we should know more about how these kids, how their bodies react to that before we put them on the football field or the basketball court.
He now hopes the strength of Elijah will strengthen our understanding of sudden cardiac death.
Let's talk about it. Let's be more open about this. Let's discuss this. Let's, because it's out there and it's something that we need to be aware of.
Now, there are nonprofits in Connecticut that offer free cardiac screenings for student athletes. For example, there's a clinic coming up next month in Branford where you can get a free ECG for student athletes. We have more information about that on WFSB.com. And the Riveras are also working on creating a foundation called Always 65 that will focus on educating parents and schools on the signs of sudden cardiac arrest. For the I-Team, Cassidy Williams, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.